Kamikadze short trade. Right now, we have a very big disagreement in our analytics team because, as you guys know, I run Crawler Capital, Crawler Ventures. We do a lot of active trading. We also do a lot of investing. We do early stage investing, OTC deals. We do passive income, funding rate arbitrage, and so many things. And it's all run not just by me because there's so many things we're doing in Hevadex, and I cannot really do all of these things myself. So we have a big team. We have analysts. We have traders in the team, etc. And right now, our team is very divided and it's okay. It's fine because the market is subjective. All the indicators are subjective. All the analysis is subjective. There is no precise, clear path to millions and millions of dollars of infinite financial growth. So it's always going to be discretionary and subjective. So, and I really enjoy it when my team disagrees with me or they disagree with each other, and that's how you shake out really possibly the best statistically best decision. So right now, some of my team members are saying that it's a good time to take a short. Some are saying that this is the stupidest thing ever. So in this video, I want to really lay out all the news that just recently came out in literally last few days, which really kind of are painting the picture of what we can expect going forward, and then also lay the foundation for reasons why some of my team members are actually voting for short trades. And I will show you whether we've taken a long or a short, because everything has to come logically, and that's why I'm always saying watch my videos from the beginning and until the end so that you actually understand the context. If you just just run through it, it's just a waste of time. Don't waste your time, because you're only going to be confused, and you'll end up one of those bitches in the comments always bitching about everything being confusing and people saying, oh, you're flip-flopping, when in reality I haven't flip-flopped once in the last 12 months, because there is short-term trades, there is medium-term trades, there is long-term trades, there is sport portfolios, there is active futures trades. There's so many things, and some of the things change sometimes at an instant. Some of the things stayed the same for the last 2 years, such as the swing trades, etc. So let's just dive straight into this. First of all, we're coming up on the all-time high in Bitcoin. And actually, I told you guys that the down move, according to our quantitative analysis and all the statistical analysis, I'm going to bore you to death about how we do it. It's a very deep type of analysis that my team does. On the 18th of May, we were expecting some kind of a pump, even though we were really hoping for a deeper correction before the pump. But actually, it's quite nice. On the 18th of May, look, this is the green line that we actually spoke about, and it literally happened. On Ethereum, not as much, because Bitcoin is still taking all the dominance out of the market still. We're going to talk about Bitcoin dominance in just a second. But overall, it's pretty nice, pretty spot on. So call me Mr. Spot on that in the comments. So, and we're coming up on a very important resistance, which is, hey, this is the all-time high. And the opinions as to what is going to happen next are actually very divided. So before I show you my conclusion, let me give you all the details. And some of the news at the end of this news roundup are just the craziest, so stick around. First of all, JP Morgan, who always has been against Bitcoin, says that they will not custody Bitcoin, but they will let the clients buy it. So another flip. So the only person we have left is Jim Cramer to flip, and this idiot, what's his name? I forget his name. This gold guy, this guy who was indicted and had so many legal problems with his bank. What's his name? Schmidt, Pitt, Blit. Oh, there it is. I had to actually look this guy up. Anyway, Peter Schiff. So we need Jim Cramer and Peter Schiff to finally flip, and then we can actually sell Bitcoin because it's going to be a good time to take profits. So, and that's just, inverse Cramer, inverse Schmidt, but already forgot his name. Anyway, the guy who says that Bitcoin is garbage cannot be taken seriously. So anyway, this guy's flipping, so this is very good news. Also, right now, we're saying that it's not just about Bitcoin being, in terms of the reserves being so low on exchanges, there's less than 4.9% of total supply of Ethereum left on exchanges. And look how drastically it's all dropping. I mean, you do understand what happens when Fed starts printing money. Trump removes tax on U.S. citizens who make under $150,000, which means free money, really. So all of this money is going to flow into what? Mostly into crypto. Yeah, just like before, just like during the pandemic stimulus. So imagine what's going to happen. This is the moment where stuff can do 5x, 10x, 20x. I'm not talking about Bitcoin, obviously, but, well, maybe even Bitcoin, who knows. But this is the crazy setup for the craziest, possibly most parabolic run we've ever had, because it just shows that smart money is accumulating and the dumb money is selling. That's what I actually said in a previous video. Now, the next important news, before we move to the juice of this video, which really paints a good picture, is Vitalik actually proposes, well, Ethereum Foundation, Ethereum, proposes partially stateless nodes to improve Ethereum scaling and maintain decentralization. I'm not going to bore you to death with this. You can study this on your own free time. But this is very bullish for Ethereum because it kind of promotes decentralization, it promotes scalability, and what they're doing recently has been quite good, and especially the previous upgrade where Ethereum became deflationary, not dependent on the volume as it was before, but now just by default, which is huge. All we need now, as I said a million times before, for Ethereum is the introduction of staking into the ETF so that the institutionals and Wall Street get an extra narrative to start accumulating more Ethereum, because current accumulation of ETH by institutions is very tiny. But that is going to change, in my opinion. Not financial advice, but I think that's going to change. Now to the juice. The juice is that Fed just now announced that central banks stand ready to provide liquidity. And if we study this a bit deeper, the Federal Reserve mention of central banks ready to provide liquidity likely ties to economic concerns like rising inflation and employment risks noted on May the 7th, which was just recently, when rates held at blah, blah, blah. It may reflect efforts to stabilize markets amid treasury liquidity issues, etc. So Fed, actually, they didn't just start buying a lot of 3-year bonds, which is not direct stimulus, but it's kind of, hidden stimulus. They also are talking about the central bank actually being ready, and central banks in general being ready to provide liquidity and stimulate the economy. So we are literally, in my opinion, on a literal brink of everything we've been waiting for in crypto. Simply, this cycle has simply shifted to the side. So shifted forward. And again, Bitcoin is looking great, arguably. To be honest, with everything that is happening now, I would want to see Bitcoin at least at 180,000. Let's be honest. So 105, it looks great and all, but it's not as great as it could be. So just my 2 cents here. But anyway, for us to have really parabolic moves, we really need the real actual direct stimulus. So now, before we move to the chart and before I give you my opinion really on shorting or longing, and I'll show you my trade, which you will just, it's a pretty ridiculous one. But anyway, it will come in just a second. So Bitcoin dominance. With this entire growth of Bitcoin, and just even right now, Bitcoin coming up to all-time high, it's still taking the dominance from the entire market for the same exact reasons. Even though, if I'm not going to also bore you to death with all the technicalities and charts and numbers and statistics, but right now, on a good note, we actually are seeing a lot of liquidity from retail slowly but surely starting to actually enter the crypto market yet again. And this is something that, well, for one, before I move to that interesting other chart, to finalize the thoughts here on Bitcoin dominance, we really are expecting, and we're honestly hoping, that once we touch again 64 or so percent, that this will be the turning point, and we're seeing extra flow of liquidity into altcoins. So for now, it's still not looking that great, but we really want to have this turn and the confirmation of this turn in the trend of Bitcoin dominance. Now, the next point, which I started talking about, is USDT dominance. And we can see this is not the only way how we measure it, of course, because again, I don't want to bore you to death with 50 minutes of technical numbers and statistics and quantitative analysis, etc. But overall, this is painting a very good picture that when USDT dominance is dropping, I showed you this before in a previous video, and USDT dominance, I think it was somewhere in this vicinity, somewhere right here. So every single time when we are saying the dominance actually going down, it means that the money is actually flowing straight back into the crypto assets. And right now we're standing literally at a very important support right here that we expect that we should break it with quite a lot of volume, and possibly this will be this culmination and big trigger for real alt season that we've been all waiting for so long. So we're really standing at this important support that we really should be paying attention to very closely. So that being said, some of my team members, they said that, okay, from here, we're expecting nothing but explosive growth, and we'll just keep pumping. We just break this level of, so the all-time high of 108. And keep pumping the first target 112, 116, 120, correction 128, and then we just go into this price discovery and really crazy performance action. Then other team members, they said that, listen, we need to have some kind of a cool down of at least Bitcoin in general, because it's been, crazy performance, which is great because 95% of our money is not in active futures trades, which is just retarded. It's in spot. And this is the safest way to make 5 to 10x when the time is on your side and you're not trying to turn your miserable $100 into $1 million. So this is just a smart approach with more cash. But overall, we cannot really be expecting the price for infinitely keep climbing with no corrections. So this is the previous chart I showed you in the previous video, that we really wanted to see at least the correction down to the area of 100K, so 99, 98, worst case scenario 92 where the CME gap is. But for us, again, the team is extremely divided. If you look at technicalities here, we kind of are at a very important resistance. Then we have this support that actually acted as very important support for a bit of time. It honestly, for me, would be really great to drop to this area, and certainly would be great to see 92K, but I really doubt at this point the price is quite strong. So 98 would be really beautiful and would really coincide with this support. Again, it's just technicalities. All these lines are just nothing more than coincidence most of the time, but sometimes they work really well, and you can actually work off of those really well. So for Ethereum, still like relatively weak performance compared to Bitcoin. So therefore, if Bitcoin actually drops even down to 100K in this vicinity, with this losing momentum of Ethereum, we could really lose this level and create this kind of a false break structure of this breakout of this sloping resistance, and then have some kind of a target for this area right here to again consolidate and then continue to culminate all the power and actually go for the real break. So for this reason, my team has been saying, let's take a short from here. Let's go to a smaller time frame from, let's say, like 2500, 2600 in this vicinity, and then play this perfect entry into this false break. So this could be also an interesting resistance right there, which is imprecise, but whatever. It just paints a picture of the trade idea. And then it just creates an impulse, because a lot of people who were trading this breakout right here and accumulating the positions, they will be exiting right here. A lot of stop losses are right here that actually could trigger a nice small liquidation event, cascading liquidation event that just could actually be bought up real fast. But this is where a lot of people would be leaving their longs that they built up here, and a lot of people would actually be shorting from here, understanding the same exact logic. So I call it the double trouble. And then a lot of people will say, oh, it's a shoulder, head, and a shoulder, and then boom, which is just ridiculous. Those who trade like this, they need education, quite frankly. So this would just be a nice coincidence, but for myself, it is extremely dangerous, especially when you see that central banks are ready to stimulate the economy. Taking any kind of short trades, in my opinion, is just suicidal. So that's why some of my team is saying one thing, the others are saying the other thing. For me, I just decided to go for the following. So my trades over on Bybit in this account, they are all the same, so I haven't taken any new trades, but I've taken a tiny, so I'm trying to balance the knife here. So I'm not listening to one side and also not listening to the other side. So I've taken a tiny micro trade on micro short trade with a target of 2,300, and if it goes to 2,600, then I'll lose like $2,000. So be it, whatever, ice cream money. But if it plays out, I'll make like what, $4,000. Which also will be for, I don't know, for some gasoline, so to speak. But my orders still stay absolutely the same. So actually, at some point, a lot of you were screaming at me, oh yeah, we're never going to go there. So we actually went down to 2,300, even though my order was at 2,270. And this would have been a very nice profit already, so it didn't come to my order by like $40. And the second one on Ethereum is like $2,050. But I don't really expect it. I don't think it's going to go that low. But if it does, then we kind of DC into the position. And then Bitcoin, I'm really hoping for us to see some kind of a BART pattern, which means that explosion, BART pattern, and then move down. So down to 98,000, 92, I don't really believe at this point unless something horrible happens. But 98 would be really healthy. But I'm not being overly optimistic about short trades, so be very careful with shorts because the market is flipping, the volume is coming back, and this could turn out to be a horrific idea. That's why my short trade is like 50,000, very small, very tiny, just to make my some of my team members happy. Certainly, guys, as you can see, I'm trading over on Bybit, and it's a big exchange. It's centralized, it's reliable, and if they were nice enough to provide up to $30,000 initial deposit bonuses for our community, and also up to 42% discount on trading fees, which is pretty insane, which you can claim only if you use the link of this channel down in the description of this video to sign up. And you can create a new account if you already have one with a different form of identification, such as, for example, a driver's license. And from what I understood, Bybit soon wants to add other markets, so you'll be able to trade stocks, futures on indices, gold, oil, etc., which is pretty insane. So go sign up, and this is a centralized exchange that I personally trust and have been using for many years. So that is about it. We're waiting for so many things to really play out here, but considering everything, one small big catalyst sounds crazy, right? But one of these catalysts that we've been waiting for so long plays out, and this will trigger the market to really go into the parabolic phase when everything is just gonna fly, in my opinion. But we'll see how it plays out. This is my plan currently, and I'll see you next video.